Hey, friends, welcome back to Notes from the Edge. I am your host, Lisa Lacey, writer, trauma educator, executive advisor, author of the upcoming memoir, Notes from a Certified Mad Woman. This is the place where we have the conversations we should have been having all along, the things we're not talking about, but we should be. And today I'm joined by author, artist, environmental advocate, and lifelong student of spirituality, TeZa Lord. After overcoming addiction and years of personal transformation, such hard work, TeZa has dedicated her life to helping others reconnect with themselves through nature, mindfulness, creativity, and what she calls a consciousness revolution. I love that word. Whether or not you identify as spiritual, today's conversation is going to help answer the bigger question: what happens when healing isn't about escaping life, but how to live fully by participating in it? TeZa, welcome in. I'm so excited. You are the author of multiple nonfiction books, a contemporary ego novel, creator of Loving Nature Community, and co host of your own podcast that's been long running, Z Lord Podcast. After overcoming addiction and rebuilding your life, you now encourage others to reconnect with themselves. So, TeZa, we always open up with the how are you and what's your origin story? How did you end up here helping people in the way that you do today?
Okay, well, thank you so much. I just want to really connect with whoever is listening, heart to heart. Make sure that your heart is open, your mind is open. Don't just think that, we're having another little moment of entertainment. This is going to be deep because I'm the type of person who goes deep. What's the point if we're not deep? And there's so much to talk about. And so I always tell people, where they say, where are you from? I'll say space. I am absolutely space, although I'm born in New Jersey. But I always felt connected to the cosmos. I just really identified with what was happening out there in the big wide world. And my family of origin was wondering, what do we do with this child? And so I just started running away. I mean, it was hard for me to be in the family I was brought up in. So now it's called being a seeker, but I basically was a runaway. I just started even just to the driveway, just to get away and to explore something that was different than what I was being told what is. And that has been the theme of my life. And I have had many occurrences that brought in this truth magnificently, uh,
Mm,
both meeting people and going to places and seeing phenomena that has been revealed to me because I was open to it.
yeah.
And so I think that all of us who are listening and talking today about oneness and consciousness and interconnectedness, there's something much bigger going on than just ordinary blood and guts. It's
Yeah.
time for the magic of life to start, taking the the forefront.
There's a big shift. There's a lot of us that are ready for
Y-
the next level of
Oh yeah.
consciousness for ourselves. It's happening all over. So, and I feel you in growing up in a space where you didn't quite fit in the box. And
Hmm.
I too left home pretty early to um my one of my favorite quotes is, not all those who wander are lost, right? I wasn't lost, but I
Exactly.
thought I
Yeah.
was. Yeah, yeah. So, okay, you say healing ourselves is how we begin to heal the world. So I want to know about some of those experiences that you were talking about that helps you know that unequivocally, that if we heal ourselves, we heal the globe, the world, the planet.
Right. Well, that's what we're going through right now as a global family of blended humankind. Our family is in trauma. Our worldwide global family, there are so many people who are freaking out. And so, what happens to us individually, myself and probably yourself, because you call yourself a trauma coach or something, and like,
Mhm.
we need help. Everybody's going through it. Anybody who looks at their screen or reads a newspaper. And so what happened to me was, I don't really like to get into it too much on interviews or conversations, because I write books and it's fodder for the books, and it's really interesting stuff. But okay, the family was dysfunctional. Who doesn't have a dysfunctional family?
Yeah.
Even if the parents are so called perfect, there's dysfunction. I mean, we're humans, and every single one of us is addicted to something. We may be addicted to materialism. We may be addicted to having whatever, the best house, the best lawn, the guy who's mowing the lawn next door. And 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 the addiction thing drives us to have a bottom and to have a crash, because that's what addiction is. Addiction just keeps compounding until you eventually have to make a choice to go the other way. And my personal addictions were drugs, alcohol, sex, rock and roll, blah blah blah. I was an early plant medicine explorer, and one of my first ventures into expanding my consciousness was by being a botanical illustrator for Harvard ethnobotanists. So
Wow.
at a very early age, I was drawing and getting very familiar with the plants that we were studying, and they were all Amazonian plants that
Wow.
that introduced the human to the oneness consciousness that a lot of people are exploring these days. And it's very effective for helping people who have PTSD and a lot of other what they call mental health problems. But for me, I was just a seeker. I wanted to just explore the cosmos. So I did. I'm a sober person today. Let me be very clear. For 42 years, I have been in recovery, and
Congratulations.
that's a whole lifetime. Yeah, I
Mhm.
got sober at 36, but until that time, I wanted to experience something different. And that's why people go to pills and powders and potions, because they are not happy. They're not content with what is. And today I just want to give a caveat here that the most outstanding experience of consciousness is the natural mind. And through
Mhm.
meditation and stillness of the breath is the way to tap it now for me. But in the early days, I had severe trauma, and I had to
Mhm.
do something immediately because I was ready to check myself into a loony bin. I absolutely
Mhm.
was rejected by everybody. My parents rejected me because they thought I was just off the rails, and maybe I was, but that was my soul yearning. It's not just what happens to you as a kid. We come in with these beautiful things called our spirits, and they lead the show, those of us who are attuned to it. And so, what our spirit says for us to do, if we're in collaboration with the mind, body, and spirit, wholeness of our being, we follow our bliss. And for me, exploration of consciousness was high on the list, high on the list.
I
I was
love that.
I was not interested in a career. I was not interested in a family. I was interested in going to the very edge. And so that's perfect for the name of your podcast, because I did. I went to live in the West Indies, for instance. I didn't like America. I went
Mhm.
sailing in the deep ocean and explored living with primitive people who cooked over wood. And those were in the days when there was no TV, no satellite TV. People didn't know what was going on. And so I've had a very wonderful experience with altered states just by the way that I led my life. My soul directed me.
Experienced it, and I
Yes.
love that you said bliss, living in a state of bliss. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit more about that. That's a something we were gonna tackle toward the end, but since you brought it up, let's just roll with it. Um,
Okay.
how if somebody's listening to us today and they feel a little stuck, and you had mentioned breath, you'd mentioned come back to breath. What's one way they can take one little baby step towards that bliss. Because what if they're like, I can't make a leap that big, right?
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid. They
Yeah.
think, oh, what's out there? It's like it's in the early days when people thought that the world was flat. It's like you have to take a leap of faith. Everybody
Mhm.
knows about the leap of faith. And when we're talking about bliss, I mean, just I say this over and over, but it's so true. Look at a newborn baby. When they come into this world, they're not concerned. They're not afraid. They are in bliss. They're absolutely in awe.
I was
And
gonna say awe of everything. Yes,
yeah,
awe and
they're just
wonder, childlike wonder.
wow.
Yes,
Everything is just so awesome. That's the
and
theme song of
new and fresh,
Everything
and
is
yeah.
Awesome. That's the theme song of the Lego movie, which was of our nephew's movie, by the way. Phil Lord is my nephew, and he wrote the song because he was saying everything is awesome when you're part of the team. That's the theme song of the
Very
Lego movie.
cool. Very cool. My husband will love that.
Yeah, his latest movie is Project Hail Mary. Talk about
Oh, well,
now
there you go.
we'll,
That's
we'll
moving
get
on
into
up.
we'll get
Yeah,
into the UFO thing in this conversation because that's part of my story also. But
good, good.
the bliss, the one thing I want to say about bliss is it is an integral part of human existence. And anybody who denies it is in fear. And
Mm,
they have to choose love. So the first step, okay, that we're talking about is if I'm afraid of life, you have to decide that you're going to choose love. And that's a choice. There's no in between. You just have to, you're either in fear or you're in love,
mhm.
in the state of love, not meaning that, you're having romance with Brad Pitt or anything. You're just, you're open. Love is a state of openness. Love is a state of interconnectedness. Like Bob Marley said, love is my religion. It's
Yeah.
being connected to everything, nature, and even the bad stuff, because there's a reason for the bad stuff. There's a purpose for the dark.
I love that you think that. I love that you believe that adversity is a great teacher for us and a great teaching tool. I
Absolutely.
think looking at it from that perspective can be so beneficial. Talk to us a little bit more about that adversity as our teacher.
Well, we're in it right now as a human blended family. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people who think, oh, this is like the worst. But as a recovering person, I can tell you that when you're in that dark state, that's when the light really shines, because
Mm.
that is when you know that it's your choice. It's not about what other people are doing to you. It's not about who's in power with the government. It's not about anything on the outside. It's about what is happening on the inside. The very worst things could be happening to you. You could be in prison, because I taught girls in prison and I showed them these techniques. When you tune into your inner self, which is filled with bliss through breath work, stilling your mind, and just really saying no to the negatives and
Mhm.
focusing on what nature is about. I mean, look at nature has brought us heat waves, earthquakes, tidal waves. Do we hate nature? No, nature is our mother. And nature gives us this hard stuff so that we can appreciate the good stuff. And there's this balance. So bliss, just one other thing. Like, I'm a lifelong yogi. I started doing yoga when I was a teenager because I have scoliosis and it saved my life. I do yoga every day. And part of the understanding of a yogi is the word Satchidananda. And that is a Sanskrit word from scripture, from the Yoga Sutras, that explains what we're aiming for as a yogi, as a yogini, when you're a woman. And Satchitananda is the knowledge of light within us that gives us bliss. Ananda is
Wow.
bliss.
Ananda's bliss.
So, as a yogi, it's like we're very familiar with the state of bliss, and
Yeah.
it's something that we can nurture. But you first have to choose that you want it. That's all it takes. So for a person who wants to know what's the first step, make your choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And observation is not neutral. The minute you observe that you're stuck over here and you want to be over here, quantum physics, quantum mechanics tells us the change has already started to occur. It's so strange how scared we are of our own light and power. We can stay in our shadow all day long. We're good at that. We're good at suffering. We will suffer because it is familiar and it is comfortable, but when it gets to that the state of ecstasy and pleasure and play and joy and bliss, and it scares the heck out of us.
Yeah, like I did something last night. It was kind of scary. I wanted to go Latin dancing with some friends, and I didn't have anybody to go with. And I said, "Oh, I have to go by myself." And that was a little scary. It was like taking a plane and going to Hong Kong, where I've never been. And because it was going to a nightclub, and I don't drink, I don't, I just dance. And so I thought, oh, this is so cool. Like I'm scared.
I
and
bet
I,
you did it scared. Yes.
but but
Yes.
I but I said I can do this.
Yeah.
And even at my age and all the things that I've experienced, I still have that feeling of this is scary, but scary is good. Scary helps us break through our barriers. And if we just stay in comfort zones, then we become, nebbishes and couch potatoes and just apathetic. So
Mm.
this turmoil that we're going through right now, it is great. And anybody who thinks that this is a negative aspect because we're going through a crisis, as a human family, I think that they are not looking at the whole picture.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, most people are seeing the very small details, like your fascination with the cosmos. I will find myself sometimes being so focused on the small things, and then I expand out and I think over 200 billion galaxies up there. I think flaming ball of fire feeding us. I think on a spinning rock. Like we are everything and we are nothing. We are so large and so small. And so yeah, a lot of people do get hung up on the little things, but I love that you have reminded us that bliss is available to us at all times.
Yes,
At all
and
times.
for people who think that politics is going to save them or religion is going to save them, they're they're going to be very uncomfortable because it's really that interior thing. Now you can have a connection with the divine inside your heart, and that's a beautiful aspect of religious practices, but not the type of religion that just says, well, the way I was fed as a kid, that I had to be saved. Saved from what? We are in a
Mhm.
state of bliss when we come in, and those of us who have chosen to stay in that state of bliss, we know what it's like, and it's real. It's just something that we have decided to work with. And it's like energy. It's like Reiki people, they work with this energy. And I do a little bit of Reiki. Like when we have hurricanes, I go out and do.
You're like, please no.
I say, trees, you stay up there, and I'll do
I
the
will
energy
talk to
thing.
the rain, sister. I will talk to the rain sometimes. I
Yeah,
sure do.
like
Yes,
keep
yes.
that storm's eye, like
Not
off the
today.
coast, right? And the more people who are tuned into the same kind of thinking, the same kind of energy through thought seeds, I call them, are thinking or positive thought seeds. It amounts to actualities. It amounts to real
It
things.
does. It will show up, and that's a if you keep your body in this state of bliss, then you're going to be pulling so much more beauty and joy and so much more of the same towards you, because it is just it is uh, law. It is law that whatever we are focused on, we are simply going to get more of it. And the more powerful, the more power we have tapped into, the faster that is going to happen, right? So
Right. Cause and effect
it's
is real. Cause and
yes.
effect is, just test it in your life. I've tested it, and when anybody has done something that hurts my heart, I no longer feel like, wow, I have a resentment. I pray for that person because whatever they did, it's because of their misunderstanding. But
Mhm.
I don't have to do a thing. Their life is going to be reflective upon their actions, and I know that myself, if I even harbor like a bad thought towards somebody, I watch that these days
Mhm.
because every thought counts. It all adds up. So therefore,
Every thought counts.
every
Yes.
thought counts. So what I
Yes.
do is because I have one of these monkey minds. Everybody knows about the monkey mind. So I train my mind by giving it a banana. The monkey wants a banana, and I use sacred mantra. My mind is always repeating mantra, mantra,
Yeah.
mantra,
Yeah.
and I find that that's the most effective way because when I came out of having a very unruly mind, I realized, wow, I got to do something about the monkey up there. So I
Yeah.
feed it the banana of a sacred mantra. And anybody can choose whatever mantra works for them. But I choose something that is Sanskrit and it's connected to meditation.
My favorite, and this sounds so simple, took me a year to create it, is everything always works out for me quickly with grace and ease in my favor. Everything
That's
always, and it will combat that catastrophizing the future or
uh-huh.
ruminating on the past if you start, but it does start with I wish we could say it's a grand destination and you're going to get there one day and it's going to be all rainbows and butterflies, and it's not exactly like that.
No, that's not planet
Daily
Earth.
practice. No, this is hard. Earth Scroll ain't easy.
Yeah, that's
So
not planet
it
Earth.
Earth Scroll's not easy, but yeah, it does require one thought at a time. When I was reframing thoughts, my inner critic was very nasty to me. Would
Hmm.
call me stupid all the time, and f up, never going to have healthy relationships, and this was on a loop in my mind,
Hmm.
unbeknownst to me until I was aware of it. And
Yeah.
so I had to start replacing "I'm so stupid" with the statement of fact of "I'm a highly intelligent woman." But it took one thought at a time. And now that thought just seems asinine to me because it's not a statement of fact, right? But
I
it does. It's a slow process sometimes.
I had the same experience, Lisa. I mean,
Did you?
I did. I thought I was a stupid person until I came into recovery and discovered I had something to say, but I
Yeah.
had to gain the self confidence.
Well, I as a recovering addict carried so much guilt because towards the end of my active addiction years, I was getting very violent. And so there was just a ton of mom guilt, just a ton of shame and humiliation and self-hatred, and it's a cycle, in the addiction cycle, it's like that stuff will just feed your addiction very nicely. So,
Hmm.
but it took a very major rock bottom, almost having my freedom taken away, and being one of those women that you teach in facilities, to
Oh,
get
so
me
you had the
to.
experience of addiction too? Are you like actively involved in the 12 steps?
Oh, I did AA for 2 years, 6 days a week, sometimes 2 days a week. Both my husband are together, 8 years clean. Um, we
That's
met with
great.
30 days clean. We 13th stepped our way into a healthy marriage. I don't recommend it. I do not recommend it. That was some hard stuff. We were bringing in a lot of garbage. But we made it through it. But yeah, we did AA for a little while and then outgrew that, and then moved to Smart Recovery, and then checked out Refuge Recovery for a little while, and then did Dharma
Hmm.
Recovery. And this was alongside all of the therapies that I was going through at the time. And now we're just each other's accountability partners. We're at a place in life where we just certainly don't want to go back to who we were in that state. So we're not actively working a recovery program per se, but we do both work with our transformational coaches and our therapists. So,
That's a lot of
yeah,
work. Good for you. Yeah, I
it
mean, the
is.
people who are facing wanting to get sober or coming into recovery, it's important for them to know that it is going to be fun, but it's going to be also work because the work is so worth it. And then
It
once
is
we,
so worth it.
yeah,
You get to
so
keep
worth
your
it.
memories, right? Like my husband and I have memories that we get to keep. we have moments of bliss and joy that we get to keep and remember, and we don't have to hate on ourselves for nasty behavior or for trying to destroy ourselves. It's a night and day difference. But those first
Yes.
couple of years, take some time to get your feet back underneath you, depending on how far you've fallen down.
Well, I always relate getting sober to diving. I spent a lot of time on the ocean, and a diver would never go by themselves into the deep because
Mm,
it's dangerous. They have sharks and they have barracudas and they have moray eels. So the guide that we use in the recovery, it's called a sponsor or a mentor. People have coaches. It's so important,
mhm.
and to have a coach or mentor that you relate to. And for me, the most important thing about the sober life is the spirituality. And, and so I could never work with people who just kind of talk about other things than getting to the nitty gritty and going deep. Because when I
Yeah,
came into recovery, because I had been a seeker early on, and I had done all these plant medicines, and I had already been to the cosmos with LSD and peyote, and and drawing coca and chewing coca and all the weird plant drugs that I was imbibing because I was a ethnobotanist illustrator. I definitely had a deep connection with my spirit, and that to me is the most beautiful things about recovering people, because they are the most spiritual people.
yeah,
Because the reason they were doing the drugs and the alcohol and all the other substances was because they wanted that intense relationship that our spirit gives us, but maybe they didn't know how to get it or handle it, and it was scary to them. So in
mhm.
recovery, it's so beautiful. It's the sharing and the deepness. I mean, I go to meetings all over where I travel, even if they're in different languages. Everybody speaks the same lingo. We all
Yeah,
have that commonality that we've been to hell and now we're living in heaven because we
yeah.
chose to live in heaven. We
It
don't have to
is
wait
heaven
to die.
comparatively.
Yeah,
It is heaven
yeah.
on earth.
We don't have to
Yeah.
wait to die, folks. I mean, heaven's right here.
Yeah, no more slow death for us. No more slow death for us. Okay, so both of us know what it's like to rebuild a life. Okay, we both
Hmm.
did that, had our rock bottoms. Our paths look different, but looking back, what did recovery, speaking of this runs right into what we're talking about. What did recovery give you other than just the sobriety? What were some other gifts for anybody out there that's considering going back out or thinking about maybe giving
Oh,
up or
well, I was dying. I mean, I was 36 years old and my liver was, I was
oh,
not in good shape. It started off with innocently wanting to know. In my addiction, it started off wanting to just know how to be fun, and as a teenager, and it rolled into a full-time cocaine addiction. I was married to an MBA guy. Everybody was doing cocaine in those days, and just shoveling it up your nose. They had a hotline even for any relative of somebody in the NBA, because those guys were all just really strung out on coke. So when I got into recovery, I was saved for my life. I would have died. I definitely would have died. And
mhm.
and in addiction, it's very deadly. I mean, people can think, oh, yeah, it's really fun, but it's a progressive disease. And I
Mhm.
have had several of my sponsees die because of this disease. And it's not it's not a joke. It's not just about a party. When we all start off with our experimentation with drugs and alcohol, it's fun and it's groovy and we learn things. But if it's not regulated,
It
which
will sneak up on you. It
right,
will. And then one day
and
you wake up and 10 years have gone by and you've spent it in a bottle with some coke
and
up your
one
ass.
day you're just possessed by demons. I
Yeah.
was demonic. I was possessed by demons. So I had to reconcile that darkness was not just atmospheric, it was
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. So you describe environmentalism. Let's talk about your environmentalism and getting into nature
I got
as
something in my
modern
throat.
spirit. Oh, go ahead. Get that out. Get that out. Modern spirituality. I love that. Modern spirituality. For somebody who's never pieced those two together, environmentalism with modern spirituality, how do those two kind of fit together?
Well, I truly believe that in the early days of our human evolution, people would go to the caves and they would meditate and they would be holy people. And that's all very well and good. But that is not what we need today. We don't need people sitting even in their living rooms just meditating for 3 hours. That's a bit ridiculous. We need people to wake up as fast as they can and then become active members of the environmental healing of our planet. And we do that obviously through the internet these days by putting out positive messages, by not playing those stupid games of like trolling and being angry, and being positive and watching our thoughts. And the environmental crisis is really the true spirituality that's happening in our world today. And we can actively be members by our intention, by our thoughts. We don't have to go out there and give money or give time or energy. We just have to dedicate our thoughts. Like, even a meditation of surrounding the earth with love and healing energy, and sending out that message to the leaders of our countries, because we need enlightened leaders. And the more people who share that intentionality, it becomes part of the collective consciousness, not
It
just
absolutely
unconsciousness.
does. Yes. And it starts with one of us. But I believe that wholeheartedly. It starts with
Absolutely.
one of us. Yes. So I love that, because what you've just described is something so simple. It did make me giggle a little. I had a friend that was in some course that was having her meditate like 4 hours a day. I was like, time to do that. No,
I know,
I'm
yeah. I know people who go off on 3 days, like
not.
Vedanta meditations where, okay, that's torture.
It would
But
be for me
and
too.
and and
It
it's
would be
kind of
for me too.
selfish, we all should learn to meditate, but it's not a big deal. We can shift our consciousness in just a few breaths of
Yes.
intentionality. And
Yes.
we don't have to spend hours and hours, because what's the point of that? That's like an earlier day. It's like people who quote from the Bible. They're always like banging people over the head with quotes of the Bible. But the Bible came into existence at a certain time, in a certain point in our evolution, and people needed that. And now there's like a bigger way of understanding the messages in the Bible. And I love the way Eckhart Tolle describes the messages that so many of us need to hear that Jesus spoke. But the fan club of Jesus has made it like like bludgeoning us over the head with certain dogma, and that's not the message that Christ
Yeah.
consciousness is about. Christ consciousness is, hey, if he can do it, we can do it. It's that
Oh,
simple.
let's go do it. And let's go do
Let's
it,
do
right?
it.
Yeah,
Let's
let's go
do
do
it.
it. We can do it. We can do it, right? We have that.
Yeah.
Let's all go do it. If we were
He
all
can.
doing it, we'd be out of this mess.
Yeah, and he even said it, and great teachers say it. Like my meditation teacher always said, if you guys can become enlightened, I can go to the beach, and I don't have to do this. I
You're like,
mean,
we're trying. We're
we want
trying.
everybody to be enlightened,
Yes.
but this whole planet, I mean, there are always going to be the dark, some people even say the evil, because Scott Peck, he wrote The Road Less Traveled, and back in the 80s it was an astounding book, and it was on the bestseller list for like a
For a
year
long
or something.
time. Yeah.
And the first sentence was, life is tough. But the point was, is if you take the road less traveled, which is the spiritual life, you will have an incredible experience. And then his second book, when I read it, I was so dismayed. I wrote him a letter. I said, Dr. Peck, It was called Children of the Lie. I said, really? There's that real evil in existence? And he wrote back and said, yes, I mean, I hate to tell you, but there are people who work with psychiatric situations, they know that there is a certain element. It's just like nature. I mean, we have poisonous snakes, we have poisonous spiders. There's not just butterflies and cute little kittens.
Yeah. There's
We
some
have,
dangerous people. Yeah, there's some dangerous
yeah,
things. Yes, there are
and
some
it makes
dangerous
life
things.
interesting. It makes life
It's
interesting.
certainly not boring, is it?
Yeah, if we were all just floating bubbles of angelic
Sparkly
wonder,
glitter.
that that's not Earth. That's not
That's
Earth.
also not me. I would not choose the sparkling glitter. I would have to leave it out. I would have to leave it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so TeZa, many people are listening right now, and some of them are just barely getting by surviving. They're in burnout. They've just been betrayed. They've got new trauma on top of old trauma, life transitions. Everything feels like it's falling apart for them. Where do you suggest they begin today to move towards making a new choice?
Well, I think the victim consciousness is deadly. If somebody
Isn't
says,
it?
because that was where I was at
Yes.
at the bottom of my addiction. Why me? I'm cursed. I mean, but it's not that. Every single human experiences trauma.
Yes.
Every
Thank
single
you. Thank
and,
you. Yes. To
and
varying
so,
degrees for obvious reasons given their stories, but it's part of
yeah.
our human experience.
So the shrinks will call that ego, but let's just make it simple and say it's pretty selfish to think that you're the only one with trouble.
Yeah.
Every single one of us, we're in this together. And I mean, it's just like everybody's got a story. If you sat down with somebody that you just met in Walmart and said, "What's your story?" Gosh, it would be mind-blowing. It would be truly amazing because every person has an individual story. Now, whether or not that person could speak it in an interesting way and give it some slants and some, allegorical twist and everything that, we writers like to do, but everybody's story is fascinating. So I would say the first thing for somebody who's trying to make the shift is really have a day of reckoning. It's like called a reality check, and understand that we are all in this together, this blended human family. We're all cells connected in consciousness. And there's no such thing as being a victim. You really have to understand that that's a choice that people make, and it keeps you down.
Oh, it keeps you in anger, sister. It kept me in anger for years. I wasn't in the poor me. I was in the it's all your fault victim stage. Yeah, I was in the other focus,
I was so much in the poor me's when I first came into recovery and stopped, anesthetizing my hurts with drugs and alcohol and rock and roll and all that. Because I'm an artist, I realized I wanted to get out of that, what we call the pity pot. And so I did this painting. It was so gross. It was a big toilet, and I was in there. I was licking the rim of the pity pot. It was like so gross. And I did that at a woman's workshop. And, a woman was really attracted to it because she said, "That's where I'm at." And I said, "Well, I'm ready to get rid of it." So
that's fantastic.
I gave her the painting.
That's fantastic that she saw herself in it. That's so brilliant. Yes.
Because it's an expression that we use a lot in recovery. Because when you're in the pity pot, it's like, okay, you may have a few moments of bliss when you decide to make this change in life. Oh, they call it the pink cloud.
It is. Yeah.
Because I can do this, and then, but who am I kidding?
Yeah.
Who am I? I'm cursed. Everybody knows that I'm cursed. And like you said, stupid. My parents used to call me just crazy and stupid and all those things. I mean, I'm not blaming it on them, because I would have heard that message probably from society. Mm-hmm. But the pity pot is a it is so real when you're in it. You just, it smells bad, it looks
Oh, it's a
bad,
trudge. It's a
it's
trudge. I stayed in it for years too long. And now that I know
yeah,
how fast it takes to get out of it, friends, you do not have to trudge through your healing journey. You do not. It can happen as
yeah,
quickly as Tessa said, with some breath work
yeah.
and just
You
getting
make
in
a
tune.
decision.
Yeah.
You said, I want out of that pity pot, and just like that, boom, you make a
Yeah.
decision.
There's the choice. And it's an
Yeah.
observation. I was here. I want to be here. Intention and observation is not neutral. So you've already done 75% of the work. We have overcomplicated this healing journey a lot, I think. Don't you? Do you agree?
Well, yeah, making a choice comes down to owning your own power, which
Mm.
is, a chakra in the yogic explanation of the elevation of consciousness. It's the third chakra, it's the beginning of your spiritual life. And you know about the chakras?
Yes, yes.
So what first is survival, then is like, creativity and spirituality, and then owning your power. So that's where we get stuck when we're a victim. And then after you decide, no, man, I'm going to not be a victim, then the next stage is your heart opens. And
Yeah.
once your heart opens, with me, it was a physical thing. It was like,
Wow.
it was a
I
actual,
felt it.
I felt like rusty gates that had opened
Oh,
up. And
I bet it felt
once,
so much lighter.
oh my God, once they opened, they never closed. It's
Wow.
an actual psychic phenomena when your heart has been opened. And with
And
me, I
once
did
you
it.
see, you can't unsee. There's no going back because once you've
Well,
experienced
some
it,
people have trouble with denial.
you're like,
Some,
some people will go back the next day.
yeah, or they slip into another addiction, like they start eating lots of donuts and candy and whatever. If you're
Yes,
into the addiction of negativity and self abuse, you'll switch addictions for a
you'll find
while,
a way.
un- until you realize that addiction is addiction is addiction. It doesn't have to just be with substances, it could be with your mind. People get addicted to putting themselves down. That was a big thing for me. It sounds like it was for you too.
It was a
It
lot
might
of
have started
self-abuse. Yeah. Yeah. It
self
was a
abuse.
Yeah, and I had no clue that that was on a tape player in my head 24/7. And what do we have? It's different 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those are negative. So we're programmed for negativity anyway. So we have to have a daily practice of reframing these thoughts, of moving into a different choice of, I want to feel this way. I want to be this today. I want to enjoy this today. This is the kind of day I'm going to have today. Teza, I have a new default now. I had went through every form of therapy. You name an acronym that's therapy, I've done it. ART, CBT, DBT, EMDR, I did them all.
Right?
Um, but I was still waking up going, fuck, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really getting in tune with me as a human, liking who I am, digging
Mm-hmm.
who I am, going, I'm a really cool, calm chick. I like myself. Being able to articulate that to the people who love and care about me so they can
Mm-hmm.
show up in support. I can show up in support for them. The world changes. See, I was drowning my self hatred in a bottle for 20 years. And when you turn to face these emotions and dig them up and do the excavation, it is never as bad as you thought it was going to be. It's
Yeah,
never as scary as we think.
that's why it's so important to be involved with other people who are in recovery in those early stages, for sure. Whether it's AA or another group here or there, just to share the experience, to sit and chat about it, and to make it so it's a journey that we're experiencing. And also, you have to be really careful about not hanging out with the negative people, the
Yeah.
old the old cronies that you used to love to sit around and bash life with. So you have to really
They
steer
will
clear of them
destabilize you very quickly. Yes.
very quickly.
If
Yeah,
you don't have your feet underneath you quite yet. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, I want to talk to you about culture, the division, the outrage, the fear in the culture. What's your personal practice of remaining compassionate? And I know you've been at this for decades now, but how do you maintain a practice of being compassionate and not turning cynical or angry or back into victim mentality? What's one of your favorite practices that you think would be simple and applicable for people today?
Well, as a yogi, it all comes down to my choosing to be a yogi, which is a philosophy. It is not a religion, it's a practice of mindfulness and expanding consciousness. And yes, it's physical when we do asanas, and it's mental when we meditate, and it's spiritual by reading each person as a divine entity.
Mm.
Every single person, there is no exception. Even the most vile person, people keep saying Hitler. Okay, Hitler was like nature's, catastrophe, nature's tidal wave. But the world has tidal waves, and
Mhm.
we do have a Hitler in our story. And who invented Hitler? I mean, the divine essence, the consciousness that I call the Great Spirit or Om, Satchidananda. It has many names. People call it God. That's okay. But God has like a little twist to it to a lot of people, like that big white guy up in the sky. It's
That
it's it,
judges you. Yes.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
consciousness. And so when I meet somebody who's disruptive to my energy field, I will say, like last night, I was with a woman who was very, very weird, and she might have been high on some drug or something. And she was just off the wall. So I just said, okay, bye. I
Yeah.
just
You just removed
I
yourself.
blessed her and removed myself, and no judgment, just
Yeah.
there. That's where she's at. And our society, like right now, the culture, there's a reason why we are here. It did not just happen. There's not just one pinpoint, like
All of a
we're
sudden. Yeah. Yeah.
no. And it's not just a soundbite. It's not just a media soundbite that where we are at. It's because of things past and things that didn't get resolved, and things came here, and now we're evolving, and we will be somewhere else. But I stay in the now, and I see the sacredness of this now, and I don't judge. And I try not to get myself too involved. I'm not a political person. I vote, I do vote, but I don't engage in conversations with people who are rabid, that they think politics is going to solve the world. I believe consciousness expansion is going to, not save. I don't like that word save. There's nothing to be saved from. It will elevate us to better
Raise.
things. More things are coming. Like,
Yes.
for instance, okay, I'm going to be very honest. Spielberg's new movie is so dynamite. If anybody's not seen Disclosure Day yet, it's very important because it's my story. I have seen a whole fleet of spaceships when I was very young. There is something more going on in this universe than we all know. And
Yeah.
it is real, and it is not scary. It is benevolent, and it is connected intimately with what we're going through here on Earth. And I was with two friends when I was 20 years old, and we were surf fishing in Nantucket when we saw all night long a fleet
Wow.
of spaceships, and it changed my life. And when you see something like that, and it's not just a movie, and it's not just a second of what was that? That was, was that a UFO? No, this was a fleet. This was a
Wow.
fleet, and I received their message telepathically. I received that they are here to safeguard us, and that was 68. The next year was 69 when we had our first moon adventure, Apollo. And things were starting to happen out there in space. Like now it's like
Oh,
we're blanketed with satellites and everything. But in 68 we had just had a few going up there, Sputnik and everything. It was all
yeah.
new. And our visitors were guardians. and
Mm.
they were not threatening at all. And I
We are
just
so fearful. We are so fearful as beings.
we
We
are
are so
so fearful. And okay,
and
so
there
there's
is
two.
too much evidence out there to not believe that something else does not exist. It's just
Yeah.
there's too much evidence. There's too much evidence.
Yeah, and okay, so there's two movies out right now. The Disclosure Day by Spielberg, which was beautiful. It's his spin on it. It's like E.T. grows up to be Granny. And then there's another one by J.J. Abrams, who's like a sensational, like Superman type of filmmaker, and he brings in the fear, the monsters, and that doesn't help. I mean, Hollywood has to learn to control itself. It's not all about instilling fear, but people love to be scared, so
Mhm.
people are going to go to that kind of movie. But the Spielberg movie, Spielberg, he and I share the same birthday.
Oh,
I worked on Jaws.
oh,
I have a
fun.
deep connection with Stephen. And I was a set girl, doing artistic embellishments. I changed the shark boat from
Oh,
a
that's so cool.
from a new boat into an old distressed boat, and that was on Martha's Vineyard. And so that's a connection, the connectedness that we have, the synchronicities. People say, "Oh, isn't it odd that this happened right then and there?" It's
No.
beautiful. The
Yeah.
synchronistic things, like, why is it that you got sober and I got sober, but yet I have friends who have died from the disease
Mhm.
of addiction? Why is it that we have been given the gift of making choice and other people say, no, I'm a victim, and they die? That's what's going
Mhm.
to happen, because addiction is deadly. Addiction wants you dead.
Mhm.
That's
It
what
is
it is.
life and death. It is.
It's
It is.
self-abuse to the extreme. And
Yes.
then when you become a recovered person and make a commitment to having a spiritual life, you recognize that even attitudes are self-abusive, like, putting
Mhm.
other people down. That's
Mhm.
reflects on us. If we can put another person down, they're going to put us down, right?
Oh, it's
It's
gonna happen to you. Whatever you
yeah.
put out is gonna come back to you. I know
Yeah.
this. I have practiced it, and I love your practice of monitoring your thoughts. So you know what's happening up there, so you know what you're pulling in. So, yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Well, okay, we talk a lot about identities in here that people build out of survival. So survival becomes adaptation, adaptation becomes identity, but it's not really who we are. It's who we had to perform in order to survive. What did you have to let go of? And what happened to your life when you let go of that?
Hmm. I totally had to let go of thinking I was stupid, number one.
Mhm.
It was programmed in there by
Mhm.
whatever. I'm not going to blame. And I had to let go of being scared of telling the truth of who I am, what I've experienced, and how it's affected my life. And
Ah.
so I had to let go of all that fear of who and what I really am, because like being an artist, for instance, most artists measure themselves by how successful their art is received, like how many galleries are representing them and how many people buy their work. And I never had any of that, because everybody thought I was crazy. And and today I can absolutely say that I don't care, because
Yeah.
I mean, my destiny has brought me other things where I did not have to play that game. I did
Yeah.
not have to just put out what the public wanted, what the audience wanted, what was popular.
Mhm.
And my work, both my books and my creations, they're totally me. And like, I'm proud of it. And to me, I measure success by how fulfilled I am. and
Yes.
and I'm also blessed because, like, you have a partner. I mean, like, it's so important to pick your partner from your
Wisely.
heart, from your
Wisely. Yeah.
yeah. And for me, I was 7 years into recovery when I received a phone call, and boing, I mean, like, it hit my whole entire body. Every cell resonated, and I knew that phone call, that was my mate. that was my
Yeah.
spouse, and I didn't even know what he looked like. It was
That is hilarious. I didn't even know my husband's face, and he's adorable, by the way. He's quite handsome. But I felt his energy first. We were sitting next to each other. I felt his energy first.
oh, tell
And
me,
he
was it like a
happens to
party
be
or something?
no, we were at an AA meeting. We were at a meet and greet Saturday
Oh,
AA meeting. We met in AA. And I just said, "How's your dinner?" And he said, "It's great." And TeZa, I giggled, and it had been so long since I had giggled, and that giggle let me know that there was gonna be something coming up. But
yeah.
now he is 16 years younger than me. I
Oh,
did not know
cool.
this.
I
Well,
like
no, no. At first, I was like, but he has gray hair. He grayed early, and he has a full beard. So of course, I thought he was closer to my age. And
that.
when I found out how young he was, I almost ran. But here's what happened to me, and it was a magical moment. It's one of those moments that you've experienced that is undeniable. There is something else above us and around us and within us helping us, because when he said his age, I went, never gonna work. This is freaking stupid. What am I doing? I'm an old lady now. Like, I mean, everything started, my inner critic started going, all the reasons this can't work. And there was a small whisper, but it was loud enough to hear it, that said, lean in. And we had not physically touched each other yet. And we were sitting on opposite sides of the couch, and his hand was up on the couch. And I just put my hand up on the back of the couch, and TeZa, our fingers touched, and it was electricity. It was
Yeah.
electric.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm getting shivers thinking about it. Yes. And,
Yes.
we are all connected, and our souls are like running groups. Our
Yeah.
soul, they call them soul families. And
Yeah.
like, what is our friend could have been our husband, or what our wife could have been
Yes.
our grandfather. And then our souls keep coming connected. And it's such a study. It's such it's a phenomena that in my world we actually work with that, and it's a real thing. It's a real energy. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
people saying, "Oh, I don't know what it is," but it's real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm involved with the Edgar Casey world. Do you know about that?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Well, we how we still don't think we are energy is beyond me. I had an interesting experience in going into surgical menopause. I went into menopause instantaneously after
Me
surgery.
too.
Oh, it was
Oh, surgery.
terrible.
Oh no. Oh, not
Nobody
surgery. Just
warned me.
my
Nobody
fifth.
warned me. They were
Oh
like,
yeah.
nobody said, hey, pay attention to your hormones, because everything's going to
Uh,
go downhill. But anyway, the point of my story is it gave me systemic neuropathy. And
oh.
one of the side effects or symptoms of neuropathy is electrical shocks. So
Hmm.
you literally feel, and now they were a little uncomfortable, but they were fascinating to me because I'm such a brain geek and body geek. And I was like, oh my God, we are really electricity. Our heart gives off an electromagnetic field 3 to 6 feet off of our body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how, wow, we're not trying to be, we are so connected digitally, but so disconnected humanly than I think we ever have been. Which, if we can get more connected humanly, then spreading love online. You're absolutely right. I spent 2 years on TikTok. It was like the Wild West. I'm now on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's more professional because if people lose their stuff, they might lose their job, and it keeps them a little more in check.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was terrible. Trolls were terrible. I mean, people would just spend their day just spreading hate and nastiness, and it made no sense to
Yeah.
me. And you send them off with love. Block, mute, delete, send off with love. Keep doing the work. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You were on the phone and you knew right away when our fingertips touched. I was like, oh, this is a thing. Yeah, right? This is a
Yeah.
thing.
And
Yeah.
the people and the places and the things that we're attracted to is what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, going back to, if a person is unhappy, and if they want to make some choices, really look at what you're choosing. There, it could be
Yes.
that you don't need that stuff. You don't need to have your hair done every week. You don't need to have a new car. Maybe you need to be in nature. Maybe you need to go
Yeah.
take a walk. Maybe you need to see the beauty of mountains or an ocean
Mm.
or something.
Smell the air. It's different. Yeah.
And everybody's different. Everybody knows what makes them feel big and expansive, and that's what our soul needs. And in this day and age, we all need to be more connected with the environment. We absolutely do. And if you
I
see
agree.
trash, pick it up. And if you see somebody who's throwing trash out the window, go chase them down and call them a rotten pig. Call them out. People need to be responsible for
It
each
drives us
other.
crazy when we go to our because we used to have so many hideaways around here for where water medicine, forest medicine. Um,
Hmm.
but once the pandemic hit, more people were getting outside, and so they got a little more crowded. And so we're seeing trash in places that we
Yeah.
used to never see trash. It's very disappointing because these are beautiful, beautiful. Some of them nature preserves that people are just throwing trash in. Well, TeZa, we ask two more questions before we close
Ooh,
out. One
okay.
question we always ask all our guests: what did you perform in order to survive? And what did dropping that mask role or identity do for you? That's the first question. And then the second question is, what do you want to be talking more about that we're not talking about?
I talk about everything. Well, we haven't talked about sex yet. We can talk about sex.
Well, we just got a great sex therapist. So, I mean, we can go on tantric sex is where we're headed next. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. So, to me, I have always followed my bliss. I just really, it's not a selfish thing. I was just compelled to be an adventurer.
Yeah.
And even as a kid, I was always breaking rules and getting caught and doing crazy things like, going
Because the
around.
rules didn't make sense, did they?
No, they didn't. And I think it's for me, I don't ever want to lose that childish way of being innocent and open. And I positively refuse to have judgment. If somebody's doing something, hey, that's their choice.
Yeah.
And there are times when I have not felt like that, but today I've realized that everybody has their own destiny. So I have dropped judgment, and I see the divine in everything, even what people judge to be horrible. And
That's
so,
beautiful.
what was the second question? What we haven't
What
talked
do you
about?
what do you want to talk about more of? What do you think we need to be talking about more of to really help transform
Well, I
the
think
world?
that it's time for people to be more emphatic about this waking up business. Now, the word woke has unfortunately taken on a political spin, but I have
It
always
did
used,
fast. Yeah.
yeah, but it's unfortunate, but that's okay. There's many different ways, like ISIS. ISIS is a goddess, and there's also the damn terrorist. A
Mhm.
word can have different meanings, but
Yes.
to wake up is almost like a moral obligation. And for those of us who have what we call an awakened consciousness, that we're not just asleep anymore, we're not just taking what has been fed to us by culture, by government, by religion, by the standard. It's our obligation to spread that with joy, with bliss, and to help other people get out of their slump, because there are so many people who are really, really down.
Yes.
And I see it all the time. Like I did a woman's retreat in Tulum this last year, and I had this roommate. She was very sweet and very nice, but very political. And so she wanted to know what my latest book was about. And I said, well, it's about how seeing this fleet of spaceships changed my life. She said, I don't want to know about that. That's just too, that's too weird. That's too weird. I can't, there's too much shit going on in the world now. I'm like, wow, she just denied herself a big lollipop, because
Mhm.
there are so many beautiful things awaiting us if we can just open our hearts and our minds right here, right now, and not judge.
And be expansive. Be
Yes, be
willing to
expansive.
expand.
Be as
Yeah.
open and be as in the state of bliss as we can.
I love that state of bliss. We're going to close out with that. TeZa, thank you for sharing your story, your perspective, and thank you for your lifelong commitment to doing this work when we were not doing this work. way before some of us were. We appreciate that because you were helping us. Um, if anybody resonated with this today, whether through psychology, spirituality, recovery, or just the love of nature, I hope this reminds you that healing doesn't happen all at once, but it does not have to be a trudge either. You can access the bliss that TeZa is talking about during your recovery. And please, by all means, find safe support around you at first. When I was discharged from inpatient rehabilitation, they had on my last note prognosis for recovery board poor to none due to lack of familial support. That's how important support is when you're going through this journey. And there are many avenues. We've talked about some of them. TeZa, if people want to reach out to you, how do they get your books? How do they find you? We're going to put links in everything we put out, but tell us how we can find you.
Okay. Well, it's my name, TeZa, Teza, not Tessa. It's TeZa, Teza. Lord, am I blessed to have the beautiful name of Lord? I married Carter Lord. I had to marry him to
That
choose my
sounds
name.
very fancy.
Yeah.
Very fancy. I
And
love
so
it.
I
I
call,
love
I
it.
call my website the mothership. It's got everything there. It's got the books. It's got the podcast. It has galleries of my work. It has my
Beautiful.
history. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll definitely put that up on everything. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for hanging out the entire time and watching us. We didn't have any comments, but we did have some people that hung with us the entire time. So thank you so much. Guys, remember, ask yourself the question, what did you perform in order to survive? Is it still serving you? And if you let it go, will your life improve? And what are the conversations that you want to be having that you're not? I'm your host, Lisa Lacey. This has been your guest, TeZa Lord, and welcome to the Edge, friends. We'll see you next time.